Hello and welcome to That British Homestead. Today, well, I'm looking through the chest freezer. It is the place that we kind of just dump everything in the summer when I'm like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, I have just no room for that. So I'm going to go ahead and dump it in the freezer. So I have been going through it. I've made a ton of strawberry jam, probably a couple of years worth of strawberry jam the other day, but there's still a load of stuff in there that I'm just basically needing to store, and I want the freezer free because my plan is to dump a load of stuff in that when I get overwhelmed in the summer again, so it needs to be empty, defrosted and all ready, you know.
So, oh my goodness gracious me, this took forever. So they were all semi-frozen, and I think that made it a little bit easier, and I'm just using a knife to cut the stones out, but it took such a long time, so it took me most of the day to do this. So I'm just gone ahead, throw my headphones on, and I am absolutely in my own little world, getting absolutely covered in plum sauce that came out like a liquid out of the plums. But it was so rewarding to get this done, and I know that they're going to be so delicious. Actually, now I'm in the future, so I know that they're very delicious. But it was really cool. My friend gave me all of these plums, and I mean, we got an absolute whopping amount of plums for absolutely nothing, so I'm not going to complain. And it was actually relatively easy to get the stones out with a combination of a spoon and the knife, only because I didn't want to end up hurting myself with this particular knife. So as you can see, I'm getting to about the end of it now, and it was a little bit of a mission. Luckily they're still frozen, so what I'm going to do is just pop them onto the hob and start warming them up. The best things, honestly, that I ever bought were these big stock pots, and I got them from Amazon, and I got 4 of them. So the 3 that you can see, and a really a smaller one, for 30 quid. And I actually looked at for them the other day, and now one of them is 30 quid, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? But it's absolutely awesome that I was able to get these. So I think things have gone up in price massively, but I'm so happy that I was able to get these because I use them all the time, especially throughout the summer months.
So the first thing I want to do with these plums is make fruit leather. So what I need to do is I have 1 kilo of frozen plums. So that's them there. They look so advertising, I know. I'm going to drain them because I actually want that juice for the jam, so I don't want it to go to waste. But obviously you need to take all of the juices out of the plums. There's no point in putting the juice in there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then I'm going to roast them for 20 minutes in the oven. So let's get that started. So I'm going to put the oven on 200, that's 200 degrees. What you want to do is cook these for 15 minutes, check them, you don't want them to burn. And then if you're using quite large plums, then it's going to be another 5 minutes. But I reckon they're probably going to take 10 to 15 minutes because they're already super soft. So I'm just going to slop these in. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Clean hands, spread them out. They don't look amazing because they're defrosted, but they're going to taste amazing, and that's the main thing, isn't it? So in the oven they go. So these plums have been in the oven for about 20 minutes now. They smell amazing, which is really good. So what I'm going to do now is let them cool, and I'm going to transfer them into a bowl and blitz them. Ooh, they are really nice and soft. Oh, they smell, my mouth is literally watering. They smell gorgeous. We don't really want very much liquid, so I'm kind of trying to get them out without the liquid on them. So you can see that I've already got tons of liquid coming, but that's fine. That's the best we can do. I way prefer using a hand blender than a food processor, but if you've got a food processor, you go ahead and use that, it's fine. That tastes really good. It's like a little bit sour, but not too bad. I'm just going to scrape down the sides to make sure all the sugar is incorporated, and it's like got a thick gel quantity to it. You see that? I think it looks really good, and it's really smooth. There's no lumps, there's no bits of fruit in there. I think it's going to do really well. And I'm actually going to dehydrate this in the oven on the basis that I'm already using my humidifier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what I've done is just lined a flat baking dish with some of this baking paper parchment even. My oven came with this, but I believe the Americans call them cookie sheets. I'm not sure what we call them in the UK. I just call them flat pans. I'm terrible because I call everything a pan. So like saucepan, I just say pan. Frying pan, I just say pan. And I was actually telling one of my friends a recipe the other day, and I was like, use your pan. She was like, what pan? You just say pan for everything. And I'm like, you know, the pan. So I'm like really hard to follow. I'm sure that you're feeling that too. So what we're going to be doing here, using this pan, we're going to just kind of just scrape this down like so, get into the corners, and we want it about 1 centimetre thick. So we don't want it too thick. So we're not going to make it look beautiful yet, we're just going to scrape it out, hope for the best. I've only done this once before, so bear with me. I already see this being beautiful. Probably should have used my bigger, whatever this is called, scraper. I'm not an artist, as you can see, but I want it to be kind of uniform. So I'm going to put this back in for about 4 hours. I've lowered the oven to 60 degrees Celsius so that it doesn't cook. We only want it to dehydrate, we don't want it to cook. And I've kind of cracked the door open a little bit. I'm going to use a wooden spoon to keep the door open. It's going to be nice and warm in here. Like so. And hopefully it will produce some fruit roll-ups. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that with my second sheet pan. So it took about 8 hours in the end. And all I'm going to be doing is cutting it out. Da, 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 da. I think it looks really good. So the issue that there is with traditional fruit leather is that fruit leather tends to be really high in sugar and really high in things like colourings, preservatives, etc. So this is quite nice because it doesn't have any of that in. And we don't really buy fruit leather because of that. So it'd be quite nice to have this and for Jazz to be able to eat it, you know, not whenever, but as a treat. We try to kind of replace naughty treats with quite good for you treats, and then you can have as many as you, well no, then you can have a healthy treat, which is even better than a normal treat, isn't it? I totally sound like a mum. Carrots are a treat. Whew. So all we're going to do is roll these up like so. And they're not even tacky to the touch, so they're completely dry. I'm having to sit down continuously because my back is that painful. Not very long now though. There we go, how cute is that? And then what I can do is you just pull that and it comes off. And that is very well done. Hello, so I'm going to be making spice plums. The way we're making spice plums today is we're actually going to be using frozen plums, the ones that we harvested in the summer. There's 2 cups of syrup in here, syrup that comes off of the plums when you defrost them, and I've added a 1/2 cup of sugar and 1/4 teaspoon of citric acid just to make sure it's acidic. I'm then heating that up on the hob, and I'm going to add my frozen plums to it just to warm everything through. So I have a normal stock pot just full of warm water. I just got it out the tap warm to save a little bit of energy. I'm just going to stick the lid on that and have that bubbling on the way at the back. So for the bottom of the canner, because you can't just put glass jars on the bottom of a canner, they will shatter. They will shatter big time. So what I've got is some of my mini canning rings. So I'm going to go ahead and plop them on the bottom of the makeshift water bath canner so that nothing sits at the bottom. What I like to do is I like to put one big can ring and a little one underneath facing that way up. But if you don't have these, that's fine. You can actually go ahead and put a tea towel at the bottom and it works perfectly well. What I'm going to do now is I've got my jars. They've just had plums in them. I've measured them out. That's all that's happened. I've heated up the plums on the stove. I've added the sugar to the syrup and all the spices, and they smell divine. I'm going to take a star of these and I'm going to break it up. And I'm going to put one of the arms of the star in each one of these glass jars. I'm going to take my cinnamon and I'm going to give it a little healthy sprinkle in each jar because I want it to taste really Christmassy when I'm eating it. And then what I'm going to do with the slotted spoon, I'm going to go ahead and fill up my jars. Now I've measured these out so that I do have enough jars, but I've then cooked them, so they're probably going to shrink somewhat. These have got like a poached plum sort of, I was going to say flavour, but look to them, which is just what we're looking for. That's as fresh plums. They do hold up better than the frozen plums, but they're not too bad. I think they're going to be divine no matter what. They smell amazing. There you go, I told you, didn't I? I had 4 jars and now it's turned down to 3. I want about 1 inch of headspace, like so. I've made way too much liquid. Now you can use anything for a bubbler. I do have a bubbler that I bought. Who knows where it is? You're probably as likely to see it as I am. I think it's in the drawer below, but you can use anything. And what I'm doing is just going down to the bottom of the jar and I'm releasing the bubbles very delicately because we don't want them disturbing and not letting it seal properly. So, just like so. You see all of the bubbles sort of rush into the surface as you're doing it. You see all the bubbles coming up? So you don't want those interfering. And as you can see, I like to give it a good old tap on the side too. And then I can go ahead and just fill them up to the line. And most canning jars, if you buy proper canning jars, they'll have a line that you fill them up to. Just helps you a little bit. I've been so cautious with this. I've only made a couple of jars of it just in case I don't like it. Which, if you know me, it never happens. But this syrup's not going to go to waste because it's perfectly good juice. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in my jam. Who says I waste things? Right, so I've made a total mess of these jars. I hope we can all agree on that. So I need to go ahead and wipe them down. I made a total mess of the side, actually. So all I'm going to do is use a splosh of this white vinegar, just like that. And I have heard that people say it sterilises the jam jars. It doesn't, it just cleans them. So you want a really good surface contact between the jars and the jar lids, so it just removes all of the bits of sugar or grease or whatever it is that's on your jar lid, so that you can go ahead and get a really good seal. So because I've made such a disgusting look, because I've made such a mess, I'm going to go ahead and do it again. There we go. So this is called cleaning the rims of the jar, just like so. I want them super clean, so there's nothing just inhibiting that sort of sticking of the jar lid. You thought, wow, so dead posh. Just like so. And then we're just going to go ahead and put these on finger tight. Whew, they are very warm. Now, you don't want to go put cold jars in a hot canner, or a hot jar in a cold canner, because they're going to crack. So I've got hot jars and they're going into a hot canner with my tongs so I don't burn myself. Oh, ooh, that's hot on my toe. That's 20 minutes processing time, okay? If you're going to do small jars, if you're going to do bigger ones, it's 30 minutes. You do have to adjust for your elevation, so double check your elevation. We're at 0 here, so 0 means that it's going to take about 20 minutes to sterilise those jars.
So this is what the spiced plums look like after 20 minutes of processing time. As you can see, I didn't put enough vinegar in the water, and being down here near London, you do get lime scale if you do not put vinegar in the water of your either pressure canner or your water bath canner. This is what they look like afterwards. You can still see them bubbling.
So the next thing we're going to do is our jam. Now, jam is actually really cool to make with plums because you don't actually need pectin. Pectin is a substance that basically allows your jam to set. So lots of fruit has natural pectin in it, like apples and plums. So you don't actually have to add them in there, and it's not good if you do because it goes like a really weird slimy texture. Jam takes a lot of sugar, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. We don't really do low sugar jams. We do full wax jams here in the UK. And I know the Americans do less sugar jams, but I'm just going to follow this recipe that I found because it looks super yummy. And I'm going to go ahead and make that now. No, I haven't just had a huge baby. This is how we buy our sugar. Because we do a lot of jams, we buy a lot of sugar. We buy it in 5 kilo lots, and we're going to be using a staggering amount of sugar. So what I done is I calculated how much what they call plums I've got in there, and I done that on the scale, and I know that I've got 3 kilos and 302 grams. That's how much I need in sugar. It's a lot. But we're going to be using the sugar for our preservative. Make sure it gets to 0. That's a lot of sugar. That's bad, isn't it? But it is a lot of fruit. How cute is this? My partner got me this. It's a jam spoon. So you can turn it on, right, and turn it to centigrade. And you can actually take the measurement when you're stirring. How cool is that? It's so sweet and delicious. Right, so we also have to do 3 teaspoons of cinnamon, which I'm going to add. Whoop! Did you see they went everywhere? 1, 2, and a half. 1/2 teaspoon of citric acid. So that would be 1.5 tablespoons if you were going to use lemon juice. Make sure that you go ahead and stir that all the way to the bottom because it takes a while for that sugar to dissolve. Okay, so let's go ahead and can our jam. So these are clean, and we're just going to go ahead and take the lids off. It's warming up nicely. That's our water bath. I'm going to move these closer. It's a really thick jam.
So what I'm doing here is I'm just filling up the jam jars right up until the 1-inch line. It's really important to leave 1 inch of headspace on most of the preservatives. So I'm just doing that and then putting on their lids to make sure that they are all ready for the canner.
So just a bit of a wipe around the edges, just so that you get that real good stick when it comes to putting the lids on. I will be repeating that with some vinegar. Some of them I've made such a mess with, so I just want to make sure I'm getting a really good sort of adherence. I'm not putting on that ring because that ring's obviously hot. Okay. Got jam everywhere. All I'm doing is having those finger tight, so I'm not over tightening them. Basically as tight as I can do it without really wrenching at them. That's how tight they need to be. Super easy to do. I like doing it in like a little production line because then we always know what we're doing. And I want it to come off there clean because then that means that rim is super clean. It's the rim that you're worried about because that's where this, you see there's like a waxy layer in there. That has to get hot and seal to this so that it gets a proper seal. And obviously these aren't massively hot. You can actually store them like this, but I always like to water bath them because, I don't know, I just feel like it's safer. It's like my little bit of paranoia. Because there's so much sugar in it, it will store.
So, no rest for the wicked. We're just going to be filling up our water bath canner, remembering that we do need to make sure that the water bath is the same temperature as the cans. Once they've been processed for 20 minutes, I'm just taking them out and leaving them on the side to cool down. They are too hot to even think about taking the rings off, so I normally wait until the next morning. The next morning, I give them a nice wipe all the way down to make sure that there's no sort of jam or residue on the outside. And I go ahead and I name all the jams and date them so that I know which ones to use first and obviously what the contents is, because I would definitely forget.
Okay, so that was quite a bit of work. It was a span over a couple of days. You see, I had a dramatic outfit change every so often, but I think I did really well in some of the stuff that I've made. Now, it doesn't look like I've made too many of these bad boys, but Jasmine absolutely loved them and she's devoured like 3 of them already. So we did have a little taste test yesterday and they are absolute win. They're like kind of soury. They're like sweet sour, so you get like a little sweet. And so they literally taste like the fruit roll-ups we had in school. So that's really good because they have like no sugar in them, do they? Well, in comparison, they've got no preservatives or anything like that. So that is really cool. They are for the lunchbox. So I'm definitely going to make them again. I've got some more fruit in the freezer and I'm definitely going to make a few jars of these fruit roll-ups, and I think that'd be a really great idea. And they're so easy to do because they're like not very much hands-on. You just need to leave the oven on, which can be a bit of a pain in the bum, but you know, if you do it last thing at night, by the time you wake up in the morning, it's done. So you're not exactly like out of commission with the oven. What I found difficult with these really was I did like how I do like a sourdough bread. So I'd make, you know, all of the mess in the daytime, tidy up, get ready for dinner, and then I was like, oh, I need the oven because I was doing steak and chips, so I needed the oven to make chips, you know, because I make homemade chips, so they're really nice in the oven. And then we had like quite a thick piece of steak that we cut up, so that was an issue too, so that had to go in the oven. So I had to take that out and then swap around, so that was annoying, but that was my own fault. So if I do that again, actually when I do that again, I'm definitely going to go ahead and make sure that it's like at night time and then stick it in very late at night before I go to bed, and then wake up and it'll be done. So that'll be easy. So that's something I've learned like in hindsight. I'd also think that I'm going to try it in the dehumidifier. Apparently it takes longer in the dehumidifier, but then that's like really low maintenance, isn't it? And really easy to do. So, but I was using mine dehumidifier for the onions, so can't have everything in life. So that was a real personal success. This is the one jar that did not seal. That smells nice. But that's good because then I can try it now. I made a sourdough bread this morning. This is what our sourdough bread looks like after a couple of hours because we really like it. I'm only going to try a little bit of the jam on the basis I've just had my lunch and I feel like I'm really... Look how thick my tummy is because I've eaten so much lunch. Look at that. Look at that lunch. So I can't fit too much in there, but I'm going to have a little go. I'll try at eating some of this jam. I always find that like plum jam has like a smoky quality to it. It's really nice, but it's different to like when you eat strawberry jam. That's just one. When you eat strawberry jam, it's just sweet. This is like a more complex flavour. It's really good because you've got the star anise in there, you've got cinnamon. It's quite complicated. It's really nice. It's awkward because the bread's really chewy. So yeah, I think it's well worth keeping them plums until later. I genuinely think that this is going to be my go-to move from now on. Just like doing the runaway and dump in the freezer. So that everything that like I'm like, oh, I just can't deal with this right now. Because in summer it's so busy, it's nobody's business. I'll just dump it all in the freezer. But I'm going to be promising myself that I'm going to deal with it before winter's done. So that's March 21st, okay? So that's like my pinky promise to myself. So as long as I do that and then I clear out the freezer when I can it all, that's absolutely fine, isn't it? But I need to make sure that I'm doing that. And I really think these little jars I'm getting from Amazon, they're so cute, aren't they? But they're like perfect for jam. That's like a decent sized jam jar, isn't it? And then they've got the lids on them. You've got to double check when you're checking the seals. You've got to, you hear that? That means it's not sealed. And also I give it the whole grabby test. So I shouldn't be able to pull the lid off by my hands. You've got to put a knife in and then pop it up on the side. So it's important that it doesn't do it. Now, these two here haven't sealed, and that's fine. I'm just going to put them in the fridge and use them first. The recipe doesn't actually say it needs to be water bath. I just prefer water bathing things for my peace of mind. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'll pop these in the fridge and we're going to eat these first. So yes, we've got those, and then I'm not going to open these yet, but spiced plums. I think they look amazing though. Personally, I actually think these are going to be nicer. You see, spiced plum. I always write on the top as well. But yeah, I think they're going to be absolutely amazing. I think I'm going to make a crumble or something out of them. And depending on what they're like, I might actually probably do them in half pints from now on. Because, in pints from now on, because it's going to make a very small crumble, isn't it? So, thank you so much for watching. And if you like content like this, please go ahead and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. You have a wonderful day, and thanks for hanging out with me. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm just going to give them a dry wipe round.
The time is 1:55 p.m.
You scared me. What a nightmare. So normally when I take the battery out and it's dead, I take it out and put it straight on charge, like I am here. Look, see, charging. And apparently I've been taking them out and putting them back in the bag. So I was like, dead battery, dead battery, dead battery, dead battery. This one's full, so we should be fine. Hello and welcome back. So this is the next day, and I've done all crazy things, like I've had a bath. And we're going to continue on with our crazy journey of making all of the stuff from the plums. So our